Okay, good morning. This is William McKissock with Schooley Mitchell, your expense reduction specialist. And remember, I'm not a professional interviewer. We are an expense reduction company. This is what we are doing in the community to help local businesses and local people get some promotion on social media. It's something we do as an added layer of value to our clients and the community with Schooley Mitchell. And this morning I have with me Jane Graham. Welcome, Jane.
Hi, good morning.
Let me tell the viewers a little bit about who you are. Jane is with Sunshine City Law, a Florida bar certified attorney in city, county, and local government law with over a decade of experience dealing with local governments, environmental and land issues. She is dedicated to using her knowledge of local government, environmental law, constitutional law, and property rights to make this area of law more accessible and understandable. Fantastic. That's people looking to learn about this kind of law and need a lawyer for this kind of law. You're the person to go and see. So let's just get straight into it, Jane. Tell me a little bit about who you are, where you come from, and how you progressed up to become the firm that is Sunshine Law.
Sure, thanks. So I founded Sunshine City Law just this past summer. I've been practicing law for about 10 years. I have my law degree and undergrad from University of Miami, go Canes. And also I have a master's of law in environmental law from Vermont Law School. After law school, for about 5 years, I worked at the National Audubon Society, where I was an environmental advocate for Everglades and water policy issues. After then, I worked with several municipalities in South Florida as an assistant city attorney, helping them on land use, environmental, and various other issues. And 2 years ago, I moved to the Tampa Bay area, where I worked with a boutique litigation firm doing land use and environmental law. And this past summer, I thought it's time to make the leap, and I founded Sunshine City Law.
And I guess the name Sunshine City Law has got some kind of relevance to Florida being the Sunshine State.
Right. Well, there are actually three significant things about the name Sunshine City Law. In Florida law, there's something called the Florida Government in the Sunshine Law Act, which lets individuals and the public have access to government records. And it's actually the most protective law of its kind in the United States. So I named it after sunshine so that people know that I'm here to protect them and their voice in front of local governments.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, on top of that, you know, it's the Sunshine City. St. Pete is the Sunshine City, and city law is because I represent people in front of government. And
all right.
Yeah. And
so it's not just about Florida and oranges then. It's you put some real thought into it that shows that you're meticulous in everything you do. I mean, that's the point I'm trying to drive it here. You really have come up with a name that's sparkly and shiny, but it's actually got a whole lot of relevance based in law.
Right, absolutely. And, you know, it's to show people, you know, from the get-go, you have rights, and I want to protect your rights in front of governments.
So what types of issues do you deal with? I know we discussed environmental law, constitutional law, property rights. So can you tell me about the issues that you're dealing with in these areas of law, and what kind of clients do you see? What does your clients look like?
Sure. So I have a number of different types of clients. The first type is someone, let's say that he bought a piece of property and he wants to do something like, let's say, build 6 units on it, but he goes to the local county and they're like, no, you can't build it. So he comes to me and I would analyze the type of property use that he can do and then give advice as to, hey, you could try to petition the government as a rezoning or some other process to get them to change their mind. So that's the first type of thing, of just general analyzing. Yeah. The second is if someone really needs representation in front of local government, I'm there to do that as well. I had a client who owned a group home and she wanted to expand it, but she needed to get a variance in front of the city of Tampa. So I was able to represent her and we actually got a unanimous approval for that variance, and she could have more patients in her group home after that.
So tell me about your fees. I've heard that you do flat fees. It's not the usual what you would expect from a law firm would be like, I'm going to charge the hourly rate, however long it takes, you pay me that hourly rate. So you charge flat fees. What made you decide to do that? And how does it work?
Sure. So I previously worked, well, for about 8 years of my career, I've worked in the nonprofit sector and also in the local government sector where, however long it takes to do something, that's how you do it. And then when I worked in a private firm where they're billing by the hour, I noticed, this is the type of thing where it can be very unpredictable with a distinctive legal issue if it takes 2 hours or 10 hours. And, if you have a client who hasn't dealt with lawyers before, I don't want them to get a rude awakening where they think, okay, I'll pay $2,000 for this, but then they get a bill for $7,000. And so I try to let fees become much more predictable. So I say, hey, if you want me to do this specific type of law, for example, I'll do a report of your land use first for $1,000. And then if you need me to do a representation in front of the government, like for rezoning, that'll be its own fee. So that way it's kind of parsed out and people know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah, they don't have to hire you in as a lawyer and worry about what's the bill going to look like at the end of the day. They know up front, okay, this is what it's going to cost me, and they can budget for it accordingly. That's fantastic. I really, being an expense reduction specialist, that's fantastic because it allows people to control their costs and they know exactly what they're going to pay.
Definitely. And also it goes to the type of clients that I have because, if I are representing large companies, I mean, it might not be such a big deal for them, but I look to represent small businesses, nonprofits, individuals, and just, yes, people who, they aren't used to, they're not sophisticated, large businesses. So it's, to help the average person.
Yeah, no, thanks for clearing that because people listening to this can see the difference. It's the people who can possibly least afford to pay those hourly rates that you're willing to afford them the ability to pay a flat fee. And as I say, I think that's fantastic coming from where we come at Schooley Mitchell. So how has COVID changed how you deal with the cities and councils? Obviously, we're doing everything remotely or as much as we can. I'm guessing you're doing a lot more remote work. Can you tell me about that?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, on one hand, it hasn't really changed a lot as far as the research and, figuring out, okay, counseling a client, what they need to do. But you're right. The meetings mostly are virtual now. And several municipalities and counties have rules that impact how people would participate in these kind of virtual meetings that, it may make you wonder, do I want to do this now or do I want to wait until things are back normal? For example, the city of Tampa has this hold harmless indemnification contract that you're supposed to sign if you are an applicant and you're going in front of a virtual meeting saying, hey, if something goes wrong with the technology, I promise I won't sue and I won't hold anyone accountable. And so it's, it's a risk. And I mean, it's the type of thing that, as clients and, a client and their attorney, we would need to talk about and say, is this a risk you're willing to take? Or do you maybe want to wait a little bit till things are more normal and not take this risk?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, it shows your professionalism. You're a caring lawyer that you really think about the people that you're working with. Mm-hmm. How does your firm use social media? Obviously, this is going to be in social media, but generally, how do you market yourself and use social media to tell people what you do?
Sure. So first of all, this is a pretty new firm, and our website is under construction, sunshinecitylaw.com. That'll be ready within the next month, so stay tuned. That'll be up. But what we do have is we have an Instagram and a Facebook, and we put posts that are kind of informative things of helping people realize, just giving them information about dealing with the government. Like, so for example, the last post I have is 5 tips when you're speaking in front of a public meeting. And, it's like, know your audience, bring friends and supporters. And then my favorite tip of that is know when to shut up, which is really important because sometimes, people talk a little bit too much. in front of a local government and they had them and then they lose them.
Yes.
So just, easy tips like that. And, being able to be a resource for people as well. This goes back to the whole theme of my firm of being accessible and innovative for your average person who's saying, hey, I'm a citizen. I want a relationship with the government and I don't understand what it is. Can you help me? And so I try to be that bridge.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, well, thank you very much, Jane, for coming on the show. I don't have any more questions for you because we've covered more or less who you are, where you come from, what kind of law. And one thing that I can see from this interview is that you definitely are a caring, sharing lawyer. You really are in it to help people. You're not in it just to make a fast buck. And that's clearly seen by the fact that you do charge those flat rates. So anybody that's watching this, if you're looking for a constitutional, environmental government lawyer, please reach out to Jane. You can see that she is a caring, sharing lawyer, and her details are underneath her portion of the video. So I highly recommend you reach out to her. Check her out on Twitter and Instagram. We will post some of her details on social media that allows you to see where those links are. So again, Jane, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Great. Thanks so much, William.
I will now hand it over to Dave for the weather.